This episode of Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief is brought to you by Right By You Mortgage. Wherever life takes you, we're right by you. Visit rightbyyoumortgage.com/podcast to learn more.
From WRAL News and the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, this is your Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief for Monday, October 12th, 2020. I'm Brian Schrader. As UNC-Chapel Hill announced some plans for the spring semester, Duke University says it's staying ahead of a spread on campus by making changes to communal dining. Laura Andrews, the Associate Dean of Students at Duke, says contact tracers discovered exposures were taking place during meals.
We were noticing, we're always looking for what are those points of exposure. And one of the things that came up really early on were during meal times. And, it's really hard to eat with a mask on.
As a result, Duke made some changes to its physical landscape to stop the trend of students eating together. They bolted down tables and chairs so people can't pick them up and move them any closer. Over at UNC-Chapel Hill, students know when they will start the spring semester, but they don't know how it's going to look quite yet. In a letter to the campus community, Chancellor Kevin Guskowitz said the spring semester would start January 19th and end on May 5th. Students will not have a traditional spring break. Instead, they're going to be offered wellness days. Chancellor Guskowitz spoke with WRAL's David Crabtree about the start of the spring semester and the lessons learned from the failed in-person launch of the fall semester.
So, do we know if students will be back on campus this spring?
Well, David, we have a lot of questions that we're still asking, options to consider and input to listen to first. This is going to be a very deliberative and thoughtful approach to gather feedback from the campus community, and that's students, faculty, and staff. But as I said to our Board of Trustees a few weeks ago, our hope is that we can bring more students and faculty back to live, teach, and learn on our campus. And that's our goal, but we're going to do it in a very thoughtful approach, using a thoughtful approach, and with the health, safety, and well-being of those students and faculty and staff as a top priority. We've learned a lot. I'll tell you, we have some pilot testing that's being done right now, looking at saliva-based testing of students, a rapid test that would potentially allow us to conduct more testing on campus. We've changed the location of where those tests would take place in the center of campus as opposed to over at Campus Health. We're looking at the way in which we might spread the density across residence halls if we were to bring students back into the residence halls. And different residence halls have different configurations. Some have outdoor hallways that connect rooms as opposed to internal hallways that we saw a greater spread of the virus in some of those residence halls. We still have about 1,400 students living in our residence halls. Many of them are going through serial testing right now on a regular basis. We're learning from that. We're looking at the ways in which we want to try to enforce our community standards off campus in a different way, because that's where some of the challenges started for us back during the first 2 weeks of the semester. We're learning a lot, and we'll make the right decisions moving forward.
And officials in Fayetteville want people to consider other ways to celebrate Halloween this year. The city's emergency management team is recommending that event organizers look over the list of alternative activities to trick-or-treating that state health officials released. Fayetteville's Parks and Rec Department plans to post videos for activity ideas to its social media pages starting this week. This has been your Coronavirus North Carolina News Brief for Monday, October 12th, 2020. Let us know what you think of the podcast. Leave a rating or review wherever you listen, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a new episode. I'm Brian Schrader. Thanks for listening.
When it comes to buying a new home, you want to know that you're in good hands. At Right By You Mortgage, the dedicated team of lenders live in your community and are committed to being right by you every step of the way. Whether you are a growing family, a relocating professional, or a retiring couple, they'll partner with you to find the right loan to fit your unique home buying needs. Plus, with a Right By You Mortgage on-time closing guarantee, they'll pay you and the seller $500 if you don't close on time. Visit rightbyyoumortgage.com/podcast to get started. Wherever life takes you, we're right by you. Go to rightbyyoumortgage.com/podcast for full details. Equal housing lender, NMLS number 402136.